Hello, world, and welcome to our very first episode of Drop the Point. It is Hambone here with Nolxero. What up, Nolxero?
Not much, man. Drop the heroes, good with the zero.
Very nice, very nice. Well, thank you guys very much for being here with us today. We want to talk to you a little bit about Prison of Elders. We're going to do a little bit of a past, present, and future type of deal here, so hopefully you guys enjoy this. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Nolxero, tell us how Prison of Elders was when Prison of Elders first launched. What was the dynamic inside of the game mode?
Okay, for me, when I first did it, I wasn't sold on it, right? I was not excited when they did the whole Twitch stream or anything like that. I wasn't sold on the whole concept of,
Right.
horde mode, essentially, their way. And it actually isn't horde mode, obviously, we know that now. But, going into, Skolas, it was the main point of Skolas was burn. That was the only way to really beat him. You had to burn him down.
Yeah.
There was a strategy that was clear to see what should be how it plays, but it was just too effective to burn him down. It was really hard to play the strategy. So, going from there, the past was pretty hard, and it was intimidating for a lot of people that didn't have Galahorns. They didn't have, some kind of way of burning him down. Very intimidating for them to go in, even if they wanted the rewards that were there.
Yeah, it was very weird, man, because you would hear people say stuff like, do you have a Galahorn? And if you don't have a Galahorn, you cannot be part of this activity. I can't have you in here right now. Even inside of Savvy, it became a thing where you would see guys who were usually helpful be like, you know what? I'm not going to try that because it's super difficult. And without Galley, it might be impossible.
Yeah, Troy said it on the podcast, dude. It took us several hours and we failed the first time. And it was because I didn't have a Galahorn at the first time we went. I eventually now have my Galahorn, and
Nice.
But we did it the next day in 2 tries. But even Troy was talking about on the podcast how he was ready to tell Agent, let's find somebody else that can get through this with a Galahorn.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I doubt that was ever supposed to be the way the encounter was supposed to play out. Everybody who plays this game knows that Galahorn is the king, or Yalahorn for all of you sticklers out there. But everybody knows that Galahorn is the king. And it was the same way with Crota, but it wasn't undoable without
nobody was
a
saying,
freaking Galahorn.
if you don't have a Galahorn, you're not doing Crota with us. Nobody said that. Obviously,
Right.
you want a Galahorn for that, but it's not, the only thing. It's not this or nothing. And that's exactly how Skolas was. Skolas was very much, if you don't have Galahorn, good luck finding a group that wanted to run that with you.
Well, thankfully, they eventually did patch Skolas. How long did it take them to patch that?
It was about a month to fix Skolas, because they did a solar burn, an arc burn, a void burn, and I believe after the void burn, it maybe went back to solar burn again, and then after that, so I think it was 4 weeks, and then it got to the second solar burn. I think after that, there was no more burns on Skolas. So,
and at that point,
that brings us to the present.
Yeah, it brings us to the present. It's just like you said, they took away all the burns off of Skolas, which definitely made it more manageable for a lot of players. Yes. Maybe.
Well, it's funny. I was watching some guys do it the other day on a stream, and they were trying to burn him down. And Bungie did a really good job with Skolas on one particular thing. They put his respawns on minions on his health. So if you burn him down, you're really sealing the coffin for your team because you are spawning extra waves of minions because you're not taking those guys out, and you're trying to burn Skolas' health down. So they did a good job with that, and the encounter is actually very manageable and it's fun. I've had a lot of success taking. Miss Mortar was one of the people I've taken through.
Nice.
Sir Miz, I believe Drummer. Multiple people from our community have gone through with me, and we've had fun doing it. It's an enjoyable encounter now in the current, but that kind of leads into what we said we were going to talk about with the fact that people are still not running Skolas. And it's or really P.O.E.
Well, I guess one question that I have for you is, do you think it's better now than it was when there was a burn?
I think it's a lot better for people that are looking to do it, because you have less of a barrier for entry. The barrier for entry now is more about can we communicate well enough with you to do this? And can
Yeah,
you
that's the way it's supposed to
right?
be.
And can you move on your move on your feet? Because the fight is very mobile. You got to be very mobile. You got to understand the rotations, and as long as you're doing the rotations and are able to handle being very mobile, then you should be good.
Yeah, I really do like that. And since they took the burns away, I have gone through a couple times, probably two or three. The first time it took us around 4 hours to get it done, but I had done it with some guys that had also not done it, so we were just feeling our way through. But I think where it is now is about as good as it can be because it is a very difficult encounter. Because no matter how you look at it, you still are facing guys that are a level above you at 35.
Yeah.
So my question is that the reason that guys aren't playing PoE? I mean, because now all that stuff is taken out, you still don't see a ton of people in your friends
Right.
list playing PoE.
Well, I was gonna ask how I was actually gonna ask you how Savvy's doing, like as far as Prison of Elders. Are they doing it more? But for my response to it, it's kind of like 35 is a lot of fun for me on
Yeah.
Skolos. It's not fun to get to him. Like when you have to do the servitor fight, that's not a lot of fun. It's a pain in the butt. The servitor's a bullet sponge.
Right.
The fight is just make sure you stay alive. That's all it is, and pumping rounds into the servitor. The round before that is VIP, and if you have a fourth horseman fully upgraded, dude, you can knock out a VIP with one clip.
Yeah, oh yeah. I've actually been with you when you've done that strat,
Right.
and it's magic, man.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know out there, you take a bubble, and what's on that bubble, Nolxero?
I use the added shield, and I do Saint 14.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you have a blind bubble, and you put the bubble
Yep.
right where the VIP spawns at that door. He always spawns at the same door.
Yep.
So you just
That's
watch
it.
this dude walk into a blind bubble, and then it's like choo 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 choo, and dude is done. And then after that, you just have the rest of the time for ad management. So that's a really solid strat.
The only problem is this the Xbox side. They don't have the fourth horseman. So what do?
Well, the dry rot. The dry rot is supposed to be a baby fourth horseman.
Okay.
I don't have it yet, but it's the one that's dropping from the top tier strike playlist that I'm spacing on.
Dragon, I think it's
Oh yeah,
Dragon.
Dragon. It drops from no strikes, and it could take you 1 or 100 because it's RNG. But if you run that strike playlist, you might get it, and you can re-roll that thing to be similar to a fourth horseman.
Nice.
It's gonna fire a little bit slower.
Right.
From Savvy's perspective, we're a little bit different because our guys are so PvE centered that they're going to consume the content no matter what. I mean, these guys are really, really into the PvE side of things, so we are doing it as a clan, and I do see a lot of requests for people in our specific forum on our clan page asking to do a PoE, but you do see guys running it at a lot of the lower levels.
Right.
I mean, say you get a Elder Cipher from running to 35, you could do 2 more after that and get your 1,000 points and be done. Or you can go back and run an insane amount of lower level strikes to get that done as well. So I actually do see a lot of guys running like 28 and 32s and 34s.
Well, quick tip on ciphers. If you're doing a cipher, you want to
Okay.
do whatever boss your group is comfortable taking on, and you want to die at the end of the boss. Basically, kill the boss, you'll get your points, kill yourselves, restart the boss fight. Because then you'll get the points, you'll go back in to the boss fight, kill them again, get the points again, and that way you don't have to run the whole thing over and over and over again.
So just to reiterate, you're going to go all the way through the fight, get to whatever boss that you're facing, you're going to kill the boss, and before you go back to the airlock, you're going to go ahead and kill yourself.
Correct.
All right, and then you're going to respawn, and then you'll face the boss
Yep,
again.
it'll basically just respawn you like you failed.
Well, that is a freaking pro tip right there from Nolxero. I like that. One final thing before we move to future. Do you think it's the weapons that's holding people back from doing PoEs? Because I always feel like the weapons are really underwhelming in PoE. The only thing that I really want from the PoE circuit is that freaking sniper rifle that I can't get. I mean, but other than that, what are you really looking for from a PoE chest?
Well, see, that's the problem is, like, the last couple weeks, Barracks has had some really nice gear,
Right.
that was geared towards making the Skolas fight easier because it was increasing your recharge rates and armor against the Fallen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great if you really like PoE. But that armor's worthless in the world. Like, it's not going to be a
Yeah.
PvP armor. It's not a raid armor because it works. Those bonuses only work in PoE. So if those bonuses worked in the other parts of the world on Destiny, then there would be more desire to get those items, especially if you could take Fallen and go fight well, I guess not Fallen but Vex. You take that in the raid where you
Yeah.
have more recharge and stuff against Vex. You go into the Vault of Glass. You could have a lot of fun with those armor pieces. But yeah, I mean, the weapons are very minimal on the bonuses they give, as far as like the weapons that come directly, not the ciphers. So it's very
Yeah.
minimal what you get on the bonuses. Even stunning the captains has chances to stun captains, so it's not a guarantee. And those weapons don't work in the really well in the other parts of the world. So and then when it comes to ciphers, none of those weapons are that exciting. I mean, Queenbreaker's Bow's fun. Lord of Wolves is fun. I haven't got
Right.
my hands on Dreg's Promise yet, even though that was the one I was excited before House of Wolves popped. But none of those guns are that great. I mean, Lord of Wolves is probably the best one to get as far as practical uses, just for PvE stuff, because it has a sustained damage, a lot of ammo, large clips.
Yeah.
It can be fun to use in PvP just for trolls. But overall, none of those guns are that exciting. They're nothing that it's like I have to have it, and they need stuff like that. Like PoE should be, Skolas should be hard, but reward the hell out of you for being hard.
Right. Well, that actually brings us to our last point, and the very nice segue is what will PoE look like when the Taken King comes out? Are they going to give us new Elder Ciphers that aren't these three weapons that you just mentioned? Or are they going to change things up? Are there going to be new modifiers? Or is it going to become like, well, I guess we could do a PoE if there are only two other friends of mine on. But everybody else is doing, the 6-person raid or the new activities and Taken King. So what do you think the future looks like for PoE?
I don't know. It's interesting, man, because if you think about it, Skolas is the boss of Prison of Elders. So it's like, how do you change the 35 PoE? And they could do it. They could just make it on a rotation like they do with the other levels. They could they could go ahead and do that. I mean, I'm sure it's not that difficult. Obviously, they're able to switch bosses out of the other ones. Shouldn't be that hard for them to do it on the 35. They could always, increase the level, kind of like the Vanguard playlists, and make it a higher level Skolas.
But would you play that? Are you going to play a higher level Skolas, like a level 40 Skolas?
Well, if I'm a level 40, sure, why not? The only problem comes back to rewards. What's the reward for doing it? Why should I go back and play it if the only thing worthwhile is the PoE gear? It's like, if you really like PoE gear, then the rewards can kind of be there. They're somewhat there. There's decent armor pieces and all that to really reward the PoE players for playing PoE and continue to play PoE. But I just don't know how they make that keep going. How does it keep going into the Taken King and be worthwhile?
I don't see it, man. I really don't see them doing anything new once Taken King comes out based on their past track record. It appears that it might end up being frozen in time.
It's like
It'll
a
be
VOG.
like VOG or Crota or anything else. It'll be the standard rotating modifiers that we all know and will be used to. But that really upsets me because I feel like when you look at Trials, they did so much better than they did with Prison of Elders. I mean, I can think of 4 guns right now, right off the top of my head from Trials that I know people want. I mean, even if you're talking about just the kinetic version of some of the guns from Trials, like the Messenger, is ridiculous. That's like possibly one of the best pulse rifles in the game.
Trials primaries, and that's it. You want all those. You want all of those.
Yeah, the shotgun wasn't bad.
Shotgun's not bad.
I have Soul. What
I
about
don't
that?
like at all.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like it, but at the same time, it is a good PvE sniper, and somebody I was talking to or playing with swears by it in PvP. But I love the rocket
I
launcher,
like the
tomorrow's
rocket launcher,
answer.
absolutely.
It's no Radagast, but it's amazing in its own right. But you can't have the same conversation with the P.O.E. stuff. I
Not at
mean,
all.
there's a few good guns like Shadow of Veils and
Hmm.
Her Benevolence and things like that. But overall, what primaries can you think of that we're like, yeah, you guys really need to go grind for it? None.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, all the queen stuff is like a mid tier weapon.
Mm-hmm.
It's great if you get that, and that's kind of your first, decent weapon. That's awesome weapons for
Yeah.
that. But once you have some real god tier weapons, there's no reason to use the weapons that the queen's dishing out.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's going to do it for us today, guys. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Let us know down in the comment section what you think. Is Prison of Elders dead? Will it continue with Taken King comes? And do you still even play it? If you like these types of conversations, don't forget to check us out every Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/aim assist gaming. This is Hambone, that's Nolxero, and we're out of here.
I think you're talking about Obsidian Mind.